Kicking the cue ball multiple rails doesn't need to be stressful. After today, you're going to learn a 2-rail kicking system that's surprisingly easy and consistent, so that way you can get yourself out of a bind. So if anybody ever plays a safety against you, you can relax, kick your feet up, and let the system do the work for you. It's your opponent that's going to be sweating because they're going to know that their safety against you isn't going to work. Welcome to my dojo. Let's learn how to kick. This system works when you're kicking from the long rail to the same long rail further down table. Now you might be like, why don't we just use a 1-rail kick? Well, 1-rail kicks can be finicky and they can require really precise aim, and if you don't get it right on the money, you're gonna miss. This 2-rail kicking system actually is self-correcting and gives you a way better chance of making a ball. Plus, sometimes, like in this situation, the 5 ball's blocking the 1-rail kick. You know, what are you gonna do then? It's better to have as many tools in your tool belt or in your yellow belt as possible. To start, we have to count some diamonds. Counting in pool? I'm just gonna kick by feel. That's weak hand slapper talk. If you're playing pool for money and you win, I guarantee you're gonna have no problem counting your winnings. However, if you're kicking based off feel, I don't think you're gonna be winning that much. So go ahead, you can continue to be scared of numbers. I'm gonna be a big brave boy and I'm gonna count by tens. And it's gonna be me that's counting your money in my wallet. First, we're gonna count the rail that we're kicking from. So we're gonna start in the pocket on the rail that we're kicking from. We're kicking from this long rail. This pocket starts at 0. And then we're gonna count the diamonds by 10. So this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and this is 80. That's it. Kick yeah! And the cool thing about counting this rail is that it takes care of 2 balls by counting 1 time. As Bill and Ted would say, that's kicktacular! We then have to count the short rail that we're going to kick off of first. We start at the pocket that we're kicking around, so we're hitting this rail to this long rail. This is the pocket we're kicking around. This doesn't start at 0, it starts at 10. And then instead of counting by full diamonds, we're going to count by half diamonds by tens. So here, the pocket is 10. We then move a half diamond. This is 20. Another half diamond. It's 30, 40, 50, 60, 70.
And that's all we have to do with numbers, right? Right?
Well, now we have to do some math. Math? It's just simple addition. If you can't add numbers, well, not even Clippy can help you. All you have to do is you have to find a line that you can shoot the cue ball down where the starting point and the ending point add up to the number you're trying to hit. So here, we're trying to hit 80. We put our cue through the cue ball, and we see here, even though this pocket is technically 10, I would say 10, you can say, starts just to the left of the nipple. This is about 32 to 10, so that's not quite enough because 32 plus 10 is 42. It's not adding up to 80. We have to rotate a little bit more. Here we're at 35 to 20, still not there. Here we're about 38 to 30. That's 68. That's real close to 80, but it's still not there, so we have to keep rotating. And now we actually find ourselves at the back of the pocket starting here, starting this line, down to this line, 40 plus 40. Look at that, that's 80. So now what we do is we have to shoot this cue ball down this line with what's called top running English. So we want to put a little bit of high spin on the cue ball, but also running English. That means that whichever way the cue ball is bouncing, you want to use English that aids that bounce. So here, the cue ball is going to hit this rail and it's going to bounce off to the right. That means we want to use right hand English. So we just aim down this line with top running English. And I guarantee you, if you make a 2-rail kick in a game, your opponent is going to be scared.
And this system works when the numbers add up to 70, or if they add up to 60, even 50, and every number in between. And it doesn't stop there, it even works when they add up to 40 and beyond. Tastes just like kicking.
Okay, I gotta come clean. I lied just a little bit. This system is so accurate that if you actually have a ball at the 70 mark and you find 2 points on this line that add up to 70, you probably won't make the ball because the cue ball is going to go directly into the 7 ball. So instead, if you actually want to make the ball and you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you actually want to find a number that's just shy of 70 and aim for that one. So here, this is 70. Let's say maybe 69 or 68. So here, this is 40 and this is 30. That adds up to 70, which will go directly into the 7 ball. However, if I just go to the right of the 30, so now I'm at like 40 to 28, I'm aiming at 68, aiming with running English. Oh, almost made it, but I got on the right side of it. You can only give yourself a good chance at these. I just wanted to take a minute to say if you find this cool, or if you're having fun along the way, click the like button and kick that subscribe button. If I get to 15,000 subscribers, that's gonna bump me up to an orange belt in content creation. And I'll make a new kicking tutorial video that'll help you become a pool kicking orange belt. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah! Let's go over English, because as you saw, this isn't just a 2-rail kick, this is a 2-rail spin kick. In order to make this system work, as I explained before, you need to apply top running English to the cue ball. In order for this running English to work correctly, you have to apply a good stroke to the cue ball. And stroke is kind of a confusing term for newer pool players. Stroke in pool basically means following through with your cue. And it's just one of the many double entendres that this great game has to offer. But stroking your shaft to put squirt on your balls doesn't mean hitting the cue ball hard, and it doesn't mean putting a lot of English on the ball either. It means that you're following through with your cue enough to put effective English on the cue ball. So we've already seen the system work multiple times, but that's because I was putting a good stroke on the cue ball with running English. Let's see what happens when I aim here at 70 down this 40-30 line, which adds up to 70, but if I don't apply a stroke and I don't apply the correct English, let's see where the cue ball takes us. Poke stroke. Wah, wah. And just to make the point clear, applying stroke to the cue ball does not mean hitting it hard. Now you can hit the cue ball hard while applying stroke, but you can also hit it quite soft and still apply a very good stroke. We got out of that safety. Now, unfortunately, every table plays just a little bit differently, so I can't tell you the exact amount of English and the exact amount of stroke to apply on the cue ball to make this kick shot work. It's going to be something that you're going to have to try out yourself on the table that you're playing on. However, I can give you a rule of thumb that is consistent among tables, and that is the further down the long rail that you're aiming your 2-rail kick shot to hit, the less English you need. So for me, on a 7-foot diamond, to hit 80, I only need to use 1 tip of top running English. So here's 40-40, those add up to 80, we get our top running English, and it was head on. On the flip side, if we were to aim at, say, 40, and we're down here by 20, so we're on this 20-20 line, in order to kick this, I need, on this table, to use max running English, so I'm aiming 2.5 to 3 tips to the outside, really stroking through and making the 4-ball. Okay, that's cool and all, but does this system only work when both balls are on the rail? Nope. If the cue ball's off the rail, luckily, it's quite easy. Basically, if the cue ball's anywhere off the rail on this side of the table, you just have to find 2 numbers that add up to the number that you're kicking at, and you can hit that number. So the cue ball can be anywhere, even down there. And there, let's see, we want to hit 80 here because the 8 ball is in the pocket. Let's see, this is 20. This here is 60. That's a little bit too long because that's more like 25 and 60. So if we go just a little bit under, here we're at more near 55, and there's about, 23 or something like that. It's close enough to 80 where it'll probably make contact. I hit that so good, I also scratched. But at least I lost the game in a cool way. Also, I lost the game. As the cue ball moves towards the opposite long rail or towards the pocket, the aiming area or the points that you can hit with the cue ball shrinks because here, for example, we're at 70 and 10 is about right there, right to the left of the corner nipple. 10 plus 70 is 80, so we can only basically hit 80. If the cue ball moves down this rail, down the long rail, the area that the cue ball can kick at also shrinks because again, here we're at 75. If we aim at 10, we can hit 85. So here we're playing 9-ball and our opponent played a really good safety on us or we just hooked ourselves because we're that good. And the 7-ball blocks the 1-rail kick to hit the 6-ball. because we have to hit the 6 next. And we can't really shoot off this rail with inside spin to come back to the 6 ball because it's too steep of an angle. So what can we do? Well, if we look at the 2-rail kick system, you'll notice that if we draw a line through the cue ball here, we're at about 75, maybe 73 to 10. If we add 73 to 10, that gets us to 83, which is bigger than 60, which is where the 6 ball's at. So you'd think that the 2-rail kick system doesn't work. But actually, what we can do, instead of just using a little bit of English, here we can use max running English, have it come down table, hit the 6 ball, and win the game. The one thing I don't like about this is there's no specific number-to-number connection that gets you to this point. It's all feel based on how much you can spin the ball and your feel of the rails and how the cue ball reacts off of them. So having the cue ball off the rail is pretty easy. It's when the object ball is off the rail, that's a different story. And speaking of stories, quick story time. I've used this 2-rail kick system in tournaments and in matches, but I think my favorite time I've ever used this kicking system was when I was at my friend Lily's birthday party and we were playing pool against each other at a bar. I got myself perfect shape on the 8 ball, but it was her birthday and she said, come on, you can't just shoot that 8 ball. At least make a trick shot. What am I gonna do, say no? I noticed that this 8 ball was perfectly down a 2-rail kicking line and I could cut it into this corner pocket. So I called the corner pocket, lined up, got down, and gave the ball a good stroke.
I sunk the 8, and all the drunk people lost their goddamn minds.
Happy birthday, Lily. And as a belated birthday present to you, Lily, and everybody else watching, I'm going to teach you how you can make that 8 ball when it's off the rail. And I'm going to not teach you one, but 2 systems. And the first system requires no math. What? No math? Kick me, I must be dreaming. Oh! The first method is the parallel shift method. All you have to do is find the midpoint between the cue ball and the object ball that you want to kick at, find that midpoint, and then from that midpoint you draw a line to the back of the pocket that you're going to be kicking around. So here the cue ball is going to be hitting this rail, then this rail, so it's going to go around this corner pocket. We draw a line to the back of this corner pocket, and all we have to do is maintain this angle and just shift it over, parallel shift, over to this line, and this should give us a good line to shoot the cue ball down to hit the 1 ball. Let's see if it works for us. Made good contact, and we almost made it. And now just to push this aiming method to its limit, let's see if we can even hit the 1 ball that's over here. Again, we find the midpoint between the 1 ball and the cue ball. The midpoint's about there. We draw a line directly to the back of the pocket that we're going to be kicking around, and all we have to do is shift this line down this rail, and this should give us the line that hits that 1 ball. So let's aim or shoot this with a good stroke in running English. And we made a hit. Oh, that was a surprise. That was a fun little kick shot. So that's the parallel shift method. Pretty simple, pretty easy. However, I want to teach you a second method that involves math. And the reason is because I don't personally like the parallel shift method for multiple reasons. For the first reason, you can find the point and draw a line to the back of the pocket, but you can kind of accidentally give yourself the wrong angle, so when you shift over, it's not correct and you're going to miss the 8 ball. The second, and this is maybe a personal issue, maybe this says something about me and my motor capabilities, but I find that if I do find a line that goes directly into the back of the pocket, it's surprisingly hard to shift over perfectly without adjusting just a little bit. Because the point where you pick at the back of the pocket, or your bad hand can maybe make it not shift perfectly, I like to use math as a double check to make sure I'm aiming at the right point. And make fun of me all you want if I can't shift my hand over parallel, all right? I'm a kicker, not a shifter. I've seen this 2-rail kicking system taught multiple times. However, I've never seen an instructor go over how to kick a ball that's off the rail, especially using math. Well, here I want to show you how you can use math to find a spot off the rail. And it's a little complex, so I apologize, but I'm going to try my best to explain it as simply as possible to let you notice the pattern so you can use it yourself, and then you can use math as well. Again, along this long rail, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. And 1 diamond away off the rail, I have these balls 6, 8, 10, 12. and 14. Those balls weren't picked randomly. There's actually a pattern here. I may sound crazy, but if you look at, we're going to start here at 50 because it's the easiest. If you divide 50 by 5, you get 10. If you wanted to hit a ball that's in line with 50 and it's one diamond away from the rail, you just add 10 to 50. 10 plus 50 is 60, so all you have to do is find a line down 60 to hit the 10 ball. So here, if we draw a line through the cue ball, luckily, for this example, this is 30, this is 30, we're on the 60-60 line. So all I have to do is shoot this ball, again with running English, and it hits the 10 ball. That's pretty cool. This works the same way for all these balls to give you an aiming point on the table. So, as just another example, just to show you, there's 8. Let's aim at, again, this is usually 40. If we want to hit one diamond away where the 8 ball is, well, we'd want to do 40 plus 8. That's 48. So, let's see if we can find a line here. Here we're at about 15, and this is about 20. 15 plus 20, that's 35, so we got to go a little bit more. Here we're at, this is 20, this is 30, that's 50, we're close, so maybe just a little bit under. I'd say here we're at about 18, and this is 30, which adds up, conveniently, to 48. We then can shoot this ball with spin right into the 8 ball. Okay, well what happens if you're 2 diamonds away from the rail? Do you just double the number? Not quite. This is where the system is a little bit wonky and a little confusing, but it's a pattern that I noticed and I'm sharing it here. Similar to how this short rail jumps by halves, here we're going to also jump by halves after we get to the first diamond. So here, this is 1, this starts at 1 diamond away. We jump half, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, 5, 6, and 7. All you have to do is multiply this number by the number you count away from the first diamond,
and then add that result to the number the ball is perpendicular to on the long rail.
As an example, here we have the 8 ball. It's lined up with the 50 diamond here, and it's away from the rail. So we start here, 50 divided by 5 is 10. We then just count half diamonds away from this point. So here, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. 3 times 10 is 30, and we just add 30 to 50 to get 80. So now all we have to do is find a line where the two numbers add up to 80. So here we're on 40. There's 40. 40 plus 40, that's 80. You shoot this with running English, and you make solid contact. That's kickulating. I know this system sounds crazy, and I probably sound like Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but for some reason, this system works. Maybe the numerologists were right about something. The way I started this pattern recognition is starting 1 diamond away from the rail, all the way to this rail. But that leaves us with a big question. What about this part of the table here? Another weird coincidence, about a half diamond away from the rail, you can divide this number by 2. So if you divide 6 by 2, you get 3. If you add 30 and 3, you get 33. And you just have to aim this cue ball down a line that adds up to 33, and you'll hit this 3 ball. Same for this 4 ball. 4 is half of 8. 40 plus 4 is 44. If you find a place anywhere down here where the numbers add up to 44, you'll hit the 4 ball. Same here with 5. Same with the 6 ball. Same with the 7 ball. This math system works very well all the way up until you get to about numbers that add up to 110. And that's because if you shoot down a line that adds up to 110, so here we have 50 to 60, and you shoot this ball down this line with running English, you might scratch in the side pocket. That's what hand slappers do. And we aren't hand slappers. We're kickers. So we come up with crazy number patterns to try and figure out how to kick somewhere correctly. Now, while that math seems daunting and confusing, for me, I like it better because math never lies. If you do the parallel shift, you can get some human error in there. But what I like to do is, if I am going to use a parallel shift, the math can be used just as a training exercise to make sure that at least the line looks correct. As all great carpenters say, measure twice, overcut the 8-ball. Wait, that's not what they say. So you can start by trying to find the midpoint between the two balls about here, draw it a line to the back of the pocket, and shift it over, right? There, we have a line, say, directly at the diamond to about here. So this is the line that our parallel shift line has given us. We then can use the math to verify that that line is correct. So we jump to 1 diamond away. We're at the 60 diamond here. So this would be 60 divided by 5 is 12. And now this would be 12 times 1. We jump 1 more, so this is 2. 12 times 2 is 24. If we add 60 to 24, we get 84. Let's look back on our line here. If we have this line directly towards this diamond, down this line, it's about 85. I think our parallel shift worked pretty well. But so did our math. They both worked out to the same spot. So let's see if we can hit this 6-ball when it's off the rail. I wanted to make that one, but you know what? It was a good hit. I'm going to be honest, when the ball's off the rail, it's a lot harder to judge the angle that it's coming on to make the ball. When it's on the rail, it's so precise, you can actually be a lot more aggressive to make the ball. And there is a 2-rail kicking system that you can use to scare any opponent that you're playing on the pool table. Now you might be saying as a yellow belt kicker that using 2 rails is too scary, but trust me, it's a lot easier than it looks. Take what you've learned from this video, practice it on the table before you get into a match, so that way you can pull off some crazy kick shots. And I would wish you a pool playing career without having to face many safeties, but as the great kicker Bruce Lee once said, pray not for an easy pool match without many safeties, pray instead for the kicking knowledge to endure a difficult safety battle. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, keep taking your hobbies too seriously. Now you might be wondering why I had Clippy on my board with me today. I have a video linked in the comments by Louis Rossman that explains exactly why. Go check it out.